I really wanted to become a nun, but there was a part of me that knew I was running away from the outer world. I don't feel like it's very typical for Asian Americans to really go down that path of understanding self, understanding who we are. Saw how rushed everybody was living and how people were just eating lunch really quickly, barely have time for themselves, just go, 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 productivity.
Yeah.
This was the moment where I realized there's nothing wrong with me. There's something wrong with the system.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of How Far We Have Come. I'm so excited to introduce my guest for today, and this is Dr. Jen All. And I met Dr. Jen through a group meditation, because who doesn't like group meditation? And I've always felt like the energy of a group meditation is so strong. It always makes me feel connected. And, you know, because I was in a place in my life where I felt like I need community and the energy of a group, I was like, okay, what the hell, let's go. So I did. And then my life started changing because of Jen. Because every time I do a session with her, I come out feeling like, what the hell just happened? And, you know, I'll let Jen talk more about it, but I would say every time I work with Jen, I've hit some sort of deep, subconscious, unconscious revelation. And it's a lot in a good way, but you know, it just tells you how much is inside of you that you're not even aware of. And I've grown so much through uncovering or remembering rather. Yeah. Remembering through my sessions with Dr. Jen. So without further ado, I would let Jen introduce herself. So Jen, why don't you tell people what you actually do?
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And hi, everyone. So nice to meet you guys. And yeah, no, thanks for sharing a little bit about like how we met and a little bit about the work we've done. And that time we met was so divine. And I felt like we were able to really tap into, you know, really just like relaxing and back into our inner world and really just simmer in like the sound bath. And I love group meditations too.
Yeah, they're awesome. You should try it if you didn't.
Yeah. But yeah, just to introduce a little bit about myself, I'm a somatic hypnotherapist, doctor of physical therapist, as well as a holistic body worker. And the work that I do revolves around helping people ultimately reprocess trauma, anxiety, stresses, as well as chronic pain. And I love to help people in a way that is holistic. So seeing the person as a whole, rather than just the symptom itself, whether it's mental or physical. It's really about understanding where is this person at in this moment and how can we hold space for them in this moment, recognizing that there are aspects of the mind or body that need support, but also recognizing the wholeness within them in that moment. And so ultimately I help people with, you know, subconscious work, right? The work that we've done together with the hypnotherapy, as well as somatic experiencing, which is a body-based type of trauma therapy that helps people reprocess and also tune back into their body, as well as really grounding into safety. And I also integrate holistic body work and physical therapy with manual therapy, massage, to help people really tune into their bodies and also to just see what arises when we work with the physical body itself. So yeah, that's a little bit of like a nutshell of like, you know, what I do and how I help people.
I actually want to pick up a word that you mentioned.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important to understand. You kept repeating reprocess.
Yes.
So, you know, I think I have, you know, subtle understanding. I would not say complete understanding because you're in this field.
Right.
Can you explain what reprocess means and why is it important?
I don't know why you ask such good questions.
Inquisitive mind.
Yeah.
Gets me into trouble sometimes.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah. So let's kind of unpack that reprocessing trauma. But first, I want to kind of explain a little bit about trauma itself. So sometimes in your everyday life, you may encounter experiences within the external world. For example, it could be a certain environment, it could be a certain person that triggers something within yourself that is actually triggering something that has not been processed fully from the past. And so technically in this present moment, that person is experiencing something in the past. So it's like past is pretty much on top of the present moment. And so when we're reprocessing things, either in the present, so when we're reprocessing trauma, we're essentially tuning back into the body, tuning back into safety, as well as reprocessing in session, right? Like what has gone on in the past, or it could be in the present too. Even if we reprocess things in the present, it helps with the past. And if we reprocess the past experiences, it helps with the present experiences also. So we can work with both what is here physically in the present moment with the body, and also we can work with memories. And so in our sessions in hypnotherapy, sometimes we've gone into like way back into the past. And so
We have.
yeah. Yeah.
We
Yes.
have.
Exactly. And so when we're going back into these past moments in childhood, for example, we're tuning back into what's going on in those moments. We're allowing that which has not been expressed to express itself. We're holding space for everything that hasn't, we're holding space for these aspects that haven't received that care and support. And we're able to reprocess those past moments in the present moment. And so as we're doing that, it helps release some of the stuck energies that's stored in the body or stored in the subconscious mind. And then we're able to be in the present moment with more ease.
That is wonderful. I
Yeah.
also want
Mhm.
to understand your perspective based on the people that you worked.
Mhm.
Um, what is it that doesn't allow people to completely process a situation, right? A lot of this, undoubtedly comes from childhood, but I want your perspective on why it is that, we find so many adults walking around with the present and, embodying as such the flashes of the past and reacting instead of responding from an unconscious, subconscious space. So, what is your perspective? Like, why do people struggle with not being able to process these emotions?
Right. So if someone is going through like an emotional flashback, which is them being triggered in the present moment, going into past moments in childhood, feeling those same sensations from the past, what's happening then is their amygdala is being activated. And some of these parts of the brain that is connected with the subconscious and also like automatic kind of reactions are just being turned on. And so in those moments, you've pretty much reverted into like childlike or these child aspects, like inner child self from those moments that are not fully processed. And so what's going on is that like the brain is being hijacked. And so and the maybe like and a big thing that came on with me with that question is fear, right? So
Mm.
there's a lot of fear in those moments and the nervous system pretty much ramped up into like fight or flight if it's in this anxiety type of state, right? And fear. And so a lot of times it's these are just subconscious things that are happening, right? And it's hard to control in those moments. And so but what's beautiful about the work is that we can hold space. If someone doesn't understand what's going on, for example, me 7 years ago when I've experienced flashbacks, um pretty much you can get lost in the sauce.
Stop.
That is a really
The
good
past sauce,
yes.
past trauma sauce.
Yes. Yeah. So you'll get lost in the sauce
Yeah.
and you'll get ultimately like you're just swimming in this reactivity because there isn't that awareness, there isn't that observer or understanding of what's going on. And so
Mm.
you become one with this experience of fear, of anxiety, or whatever that your experience of panic. And so um, through the work that we're doing together, through the work that like we're all doing with the internal work, we get to turn on that observer part, that self energy. And self energy is ultimately this aspect of you that can feel grounded in the present moment, that can hold space for any aspects of self. And when the self energy gets turned on, then we can start observing. Then we can start tuning in and tapping into this part that is coherent, this part that is able to just be with whatever is. And so it just takes time. And, I still go through flashbacks at here and there, right? Depending on the circumstances. But the good news is that like I can turn on that self energy. Like I can come back to that coming home feeling or to
Mhm.
aspects of self to then help those parts get regulated. And these flashbacks are not necessarily bad either.
Mm.
They're just parts that are wanting to get support and also sending a message to us.
Mm.
So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it did.
Hmm.
And because now we're kind of coming to you
Yeah.
and your journey, because you mentioned like 7 years ago,
Hmm.
there was something that led you on this journey, right?
Hmm.
So you mentioned you're a physical therapist, you're a
Yeah.
somatic healer, and you're a holistic body worker. So
Yes.
it's a lot of things. So, and I'm sure that there was a lot of exploration, there was a lot of introspection and curiosity, also fear that led you to walk on this journey from 7 years ago
Right.
to being all these things today.
Yeah.
So, how did your journey start? Like, how did you already know that you were going to be all these things that you are right now, that you were going to combine all of these skill set in the service that you offer? Like, did you know that? How did you come upon it?
I love that question. And I'm like, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So, where did you start?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, that's a really good question. And I think to answer your question, physical therapy, that career actually started with my ex from a long time ago getting into an accident.
Mm,
Yeah, over in Asia. And after that incident, it was his life pretty much transformed. He was no longer physically able to, move the way he moved. He was
mm,
wheelchair bound. And
oh,
so his whole life was altered.
quite impactful.
He had a
Mm,
traumatic brain injury. And so, from that moment, I think my eyes kind of opened up to physical therapy because I was in a space of like kind of anxiety and it was very traumatic for me.
mm,
And so ultimately that's when I thought about like physical therapy because I wanted to learn how to help him and also learn how to, um, help people heal physically because I
mhm,
recognized during that time that the physical body, without being able to move and do our activities of daily living,
mhm.
we aren't able to fully function in like a quote unquote normal way
Yeah.
or a way that feels in alignment, right?
Mhm,
And so that's when I kind of explored PT. And, when I actually did enter PT school, it was an aligned decision, but also not quite aligned because
mm,
I didn't actually wasn't very passionate about PT. I was interested.
mhm,
And so when I entered physical therapy school, I just felt a little bit out of place
mm,
because most people there had essentially been on this path for a long time and was like gun ho about physical therapy. And whereas for me, I was starting to learn about it. And so it was a
mm,
whole different culture and a way of being
mhm,
that I was adjusting to and learning. And
mhm,
in those moments also it was quite challenging academically and also socially. And so during those times, during that time was actually when I hit rock bottom.
mhm,
And so in this period of rock bottom, I essentially had like panic attacks. I had
mm,
anxiety about like, feeling out of place, but also feeling not good enough. Imposter syndrome arose.
mhm.
And so this was my very first time kind of experiencing these types of things
Mm.
physically in the body. I was
Mm.
experiencing symptoms from, anxiety and like, panic attacks and dissociation and things like that. And so I've never experienced that before. I was quite like high functioning.
Mhm.
I was a high functioning person, perfectionist anxiety, but thriving
Mhm.
back in UCI.
Mhm.
And so during that time, I feel like the universe really called me to ultimately go down the path of working on myself, working on my internal world, understanding who I was, understanding my emotions, understanding these deepest and darkest parts. Because then I didn't have anyone else to really support me. And so I was forced to support myself, or
Mhm.
else I'd die or drop out. And that's how intense it was for me. It
Yeah.
was very black and white type of
Yeah.
like feeling of, not able to like make it, right?
Mhm.
And so, yeah, that really brought me into the path that I am now, exploring hypnotherapy, exploring somatic experiencing, exploring, who I was beyond a good student.
Mhm.
My career, like beyond the career, what do I enjoy doing? What do I like to do? What do I like to do for fun?
Mm.
And so it was just really an exploration of like me, authentic me,
Yeah.
version of me. And so, yeah, I think that was what put me on this whole path. But yeah, I'll pause right now since I
Well,
can go on.
yes. No, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Firstly, I want to honor you
Yeah.
for the fact that you chose a career
Mhm.
for somebody you had deep regard and love for.
Yeah.
And it's quite traumatic. I think people talk a lot about the person to whom trauma has occurred,
Right.
but I think, not much focus is given because, of course, the person who has been impacted,
Mhm.
um, it completely shifts their life. But I think we don't really think about how drastically it affects the people in their life. Like in your case, it did drastically affect you such that you decided to take up this career, right?
Right.
Like it was
Yeah.
completely new for you.
Mhm.
And out of love and out of your heart, you decided that you want to give this a try
Yeah.
for somebody you love, hold space for.
Yeah.
And, that takes a lot of courage. So I would like to
Yeah.
honor you for making that decision because it's a hard one. And it was a life changing decision, whatever it was for you, right?
Yeah,
Whether
absolutely.
in alignment or not.
Right.
But I think you did what you felt called to do from your heart.
Yeah.
And there's something incredible about that. Although it set you out on a journey,
Yes, absolutely.
like
Yeah.
a journey of like recognition and remembrance of who you are. And it was
Right.
hard
Yeah.
because I think in most of our upbringing and the times that we were growing, it was a lot to our parents wanted us to do better than they were doing, right? And that does come with a lot of pressure and set
Mhm.
career options or like things that you're supposed to do or not supposed to do. So it takes a lot of self-reflection or courage, whether in alignment or not, to break away
Right.
from those things.
Yes, absolutely.
And it sounds like you were the first one in your family
Mhm.
to take that career path.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I love that what you're bringing in and just recognizing that the path that I've taken with like PT, but also just, the career that I've taken with, holistic healing. I don't feel like it's very typical for Asian Americans
Mm-hmm.
to really go down that path of understanding self, understanding who we are, holding
Mm-hmm.
space for emotions. Like most of my life, I didn't really understand emotions. I
Yeah.
actually just shoved them down. That was actually a pretty effective technique.
Survival technique.
Repression.
Right there with you.
Yes. But up until grad school, it worked fabulously.
Yes. It keeps you in thriving, surviving
Yes.
mode, and it takes you places and moves things for you. But
Externally until it
yes,
can't.
yes, then you crash internally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we have two women who have crashed internally.
Yeah.
And this is the journey to talk about it all.
Yeah, absolutely.
So go on before my
Yeah.
self interrupts you again when we talk
yeah,
about
no, that was great. Yeah. Yeah. One thing I did want to add too is that like it's quite interesting because I remember from that place of wanting to like support my friend but not being able to. I also want to acknowledge like it's so interesting how our perspective of healing changes
Mm,
because that came a lot from like my heart, but also there's a lot of anxious aspects.
mm,
And so, I feel like the healthcare field is very kind of like, let's get you healthy and let's fix you and let's get you to the top. Let's make sure that, you know, let's help you thrive and really be healthy. And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. But I think like my perspective now, after also attending over 20 retreats, meditation retreats, and going into
mm,
the whole monastery path at one point, really led me to understand how life is really impermanent and there's so much suffering that goes on within life and it's natural and normal like illness, sickness, aging, death. These are all
mm,
natural aspects of life. And, to bring that understanding into healing.
mhm,
And I feel like now as like a physical therapist, somatic hypnotherapist and body worker, I feel like my intention is to bring less of this fix it and more of this exploration and understanding and holding space for all the different aspects of the mind and
mhm,
body. And yeah, and I love it. But yeah, so it's interesting how like things shift and change after some time.
mm,
And that's my hope with my business. I am home holistic wellness, which is all about helping people come back home to themselves.
mm,
And so, after graduating from like PT, I did go on a path of like exploring all these different modalities, like
mhm,
somatic experiencing, hypnotherapy,
mhm,
as well as nomading. And so, um, yeah, it was a journey of that was like, up and down. And, like, I've wanted to travel and nomad for 2 years. And I definitely, yeah, like it was a crazy journey with all different colors, but it made me to like this
Well,
day.
I really want to talk more about
Yeah.
what happened after PT school
Oh,
because,
yeah.
in the last few minutes, I
Yeah.
heard monastery.
Oh,
I
yes.
heard, nomad.
Right.
I heard then you explored holistic and somatic
Yeah.
body
Right.
healing.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
after PT, after you discovering
Mhm.
maybe this is not in alignment
Yes.
completely with
Mhm.
what you want to do or what you're feeling,
Yeah.
because you mentioned that you were coming from the heart space, but there was
Right.
also anxiety.
Right. Yeah.
So like your decision was based on the heart, but also from a place of not feeling safe,
Right.
right? So how did you discover that? What led you to
Mhm.
quit physical therapy
Ooh.
and then, lead a nomadic life or like explore having a monastic living? Like, how
Right.
did that come about?
Yeah, no, great questions. So first of all, after PT school, after 3 years of training and, taking the boards, getting my license, that was the perfect time to take a break. And that was the perfect time to, I went to Puerto Rico and I did the things I wasn't able to do during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I explored the whole coaching realm as
Mm-hmm.
well. And also living in different monasteries. So I was my first long-term like monastery retreat was up in the north, Northern California with Dhamma Monastery.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed there for 3 months and
Mm-hmm.
practiced with other nuns that were there. And that was actually such a beautiful experience. It was the first time ever I just felt like really at home with
Mm-hmm.
all these other nuns, which I wouldn't have imagined, but everyone else was talking like how I was, talking about the mind this, the mind that.
Mm,
And also they had similar ways of being that I had.
mm,
That's not super common in the external world. And
mm,
so it was a really good experience. And you know, I really felt at home there practicing in the monastery, meditating, chanting, you know, just doing everyday life things. I became a chef. I left PT.
wonderful.
Like, you know, I was a chef.
Food is how you share love.
Although I never actually cooked before.
I
I
am sure it
learned.
was delicious because it came out of love.
Exactly. I learned how to read a recipe. So that was wonderful.
Okay.
Anyway, so that was cool. And yeah, so that was my experience there. And later on, I decided, okay, well, I really wanted to become a nun.
Mm,
And this felt like a really aligned path for me. But
mm-hmm.
there was a part of me that knew I was running away from the outer world. And so my mom also wanted me to go back to the outer world.
I so want to run away from the adult
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and just
yeah.
like go
Yeah.
to Monastic.
Right, right, right. No, totally. Yeah.
I have that feeling. So
Yeah.
like I get
Yeah.
when you were there and living for 3 months, like
Yeah, that
you
was
were,
amazing. And people can do that. And it's like
yes,
that
you
is a
can.
beautiful life to live.
Yeah.
If you want to dedicate your life to spirituality, to spiritual practice, like
Mm-hmm.
it is totally like I honestly think it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I'm glad we get each other in that way.
Me too.
Yeah. But
Constantly contemplating that.
yeah, but I knew there was something I haven't finished outside yet. And
Mm-hmm.
so anyways, I returned back to physical therapy to do what I was supposed to do and
Mm,
got, you know, the regular job. Well, actually, I got a travel job.
mm,
And that's actually when I burnt out. And it was
mm.
quite the transition from, you know, monastic life into working with like 16 patients a day
So
and
you said a travel job?
yeah, travel physical therapy.
Oh, so
hmm
you used to visit people in their residences.
I essentially worked in a clinic. It was an outpatient physical therapy
Okay.
clinic, and it was, you know, a regular PT clinic for outpatient ortho, so
Mm-hmm.
orthopedic pains like neck pain, back pain, you know, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but yeah, so when I experienced working there, saw how the outer, like how people operated in this environment,
Mm-hmm.
saw how rushed everybody was living and how people were just eating lunch really quickly, barely have time for themselves, seeing two patients at once.
Mm.
You know, it was just go, 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 productivity.
Yeah.
This was the moment where I realized there's nothing wrong with me. There's something wrong with the system.
Yeah.
Because then I had experience living in like retreat life and also,
Yeah.
you know, lifestyle that aligned with me and then seeing how people operate and how they expect you to operate.
Yeah.
It was not aligned with me and, you know, I did complete it
Mm.
and but it really taught me that like I do not want to operate in this way of being
Mm.
in the outer world and I want to create something of myself
Mm.
and I'd like to step away from the 9 to 5 or the
Mm.
typical 9 to 5
Mm-hmm.
and this space as well and then to then explore other things. I took a break and I explored like, you know, traveling and nomading and
Mm-hmm.
the dreams I had before, as well as creating I Am Home Holistic Wellness
Mm-hmm.
as, you know, starting that up and really
Mm.
just also trying out different trainings and different things like that. And that's how I kind of like slowly shifted into different education, different dreams, and creating my business. So it was a lot, but
Yeah. I want to pick up on the words that you
yeah,
said. Rush,
yeah,
rush, rush.
yes,
And, feeling like this was when you were doing a PT job. Like you
right.
felt the rush, rush, rush. And don't we all feel that in our everyday life? And you said that you felt very aligned when you were at the monastery.
Yes.
And I think like what I'm picking up on is that because in monastic living, you have more time where you're not packing too many things. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you have more time to reflect on how your body is feeling
Yeah.
in the monastery because, it's slow and, you're completely present
Mhm.
with what you're doing, whether
Right.
that's like chanting or like reading a recipe and cooking. Yet you're in the moment doing the task that you're supposed to do.
Mhm.
And that naturally has a grounding feeling.
Mhm.
Of course, in your heart, it seemed like you had a calling to discover something else and explore.
Right.
And in comparison to your monastic life, the PT was just high on adrenaline. It was like rush, rush, rush. And it also, I think from my experience, makes people feel like they're not in control.
Yeah.
And if you're not in control, you cannot feel present.
Right.
And I think like it's interesting how you had two very contrasting experiences
Yeah.
up so close to each other. And then you were like, oh my God, I gotta run away.
Exactly.
So I'm guessing that's what happened. You were like, let's be a nomad. Is that what happened?
Exactly. You nailed it.
Good to know. So how was nomadic life? Where did you go? How did you decide that you wanted to visit these places? Like, had you been there before? Was it a magazine? Did you read in school? Like, how were you drawn to the places that you were drawn to during your nomadic life?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I have so much to say about that and so many
Let's
things
go.
learned about that.
I want to hear all about it.
Yeah. But yeah, so I started off in actually in Thailand. So Thailand's my favorite country. So I've been traveling to China and also Thailand every year since I was 18.
Oh,
Yeah.
why is that?
Um
Just family?
actually maybe 19 or 20. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do have family in southern China,
Hmm.
but like I started internationally traveling when I was 18 and traveling has always been like my zone, my space to like just be free and just be me and like have fun.
Were you solo traveling or
Um
with friends?
I was traveling with friends and then I set it off to be a goal to do solo traveling. So when I was 22, that was when I first solo traveled to it's called Sanya, like a Hawaii of like China. And that's when I first had my solo experience speaking Mandarin to other women, even though I learned Mandarin 3 years ago. So it was a really like a cultural immersion and also a language,
Yeah.
listening comprehension, and it was fantastic.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So traveling has been, something that really helped me tune into my fairy energy, listen to my heart, follow my heart. And so that's how I traveled. But in Thailand, I went to Phuket, which is my usual spot. And so I'm like very comfortable there. I just like chilled, relaxed. So the type of traveling that I did there was mainly like book a nice hotel, relax, do journal. It's like Gen retreat time. Yeah.
Me time.
Yeah, me time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was really nice. And then I got recommendations from a close friend that is also into spirituality and into similar things that I'm into. And so she recommended Chiang Mai and also Koh Phangan. And those are two spiritual hotspots where they have different types of workshops, retreat centers, and things like that. And she also recommended for me to go to a 21-day retreat in Chiang Mai too. So yeah, I just got recommendations from people. And then the next country was Korea, and I tuned into what I was feeling and I explored that also. Yeah, so recommendations from friends and also just trying different things out essentially.
So you mentioned these retreats and workshops. So
Yeah.
what were you uncovering about yourself? So, how did you pick your retreats? Was it just recommendation? Or was it a feeling within yourself that you were looking to explore and the retreat offered it? How were you choosing these retreats or workshop? And what is it that it was bringing up in you that you were looking answers for?
Right. I was kind of on a break period right then and there, and I love meditation retreat. So I was looking specifically for a meditation retreat, and I was looking for the longest possible meditation retreat because I just really I was craving just alone time and also time to just really just tune into myself and also the practice of mindfulness. And so, yeah, it was by recommendation. I found the location. It was actually in Chomtong in Chiang Mai. Yeah. And so then I practiced like Vipassana meditation. And other than that, I just looked around on Google at the
Mm,
different like locations I was at for the
mm.
different retreat centers. Hmm.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you were specifically looking to just be with yourself. So it was
Yes.
not like necessarily you wanted to be a part of the monastery at this point of time. You
Hmm.
just wanted exploration of self. It
Exactly.
was a guided time.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And so that's what I did. The monastery is not exactly, it's like a retreat, but like living like
Mm,
a monk or nun, pretty
mm,
much, a Buddhist monk or nun. And
mm,
the retreat, it's like purely meditation retreat. It's like you're doing walking or sitting meditation.
mm.
Hmm.
So during this journey,
Hmm.
how did you come across holistic body work and,
Right,
somatic experiencing? How did you learn those words? And how
right.
did you decide that this is what you want to do and integrate physical therapy and holistic body work and somatic experience?
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So ultimately with so with hypnotherapy, I first got that from I actually was a client for about a year or so, and I got received hypnotherapy, and so that's how I
Oh.
learned about it. And so I wanted to get more training to get better at what I already like knew, and it felt very intuitive for me.
Mm,
And with somatic experiencing, I was experiencing pretty much physical symptoms and
mm,
symptoms that I never experienced before in my body. And so I knew there was some sort of body connection with the mind.
mm,
And so, and also I obviously was experiencing trauma before. And so, somatic experiencing is a trauma healing that
mm.
taps into the body. And so it was like, well, bada bing, bada boom. There
How
you
did you
go.
discover that? Like
Yeah.
it's taken me time to understand
Right.
some parts of my body pain are very emotional.
Right.
How did you discover that? Like, how did you discover like some parts of your body are hurting just because nothing is wrong with your body
Hmm.
physically,
Right.
but it is a physical manifestation of your emotional state?
Right. Somatic experiencing, I did hear from a friend. That introduced me. So that's how I kind of learned about it. But through meditation as well,
Mm,
we are doing body scan and we're noticing the sensations in the body. So it's quite
mm,
somatic as well.
mm,
It's actually, Vipassana meditation and the body scans are
mm,
actually quite pretty much like a different, like it's really somatic.
mm,
And so I experienced, feeling like sensations in my chest and my throat, and I was able to just it's a clear distinction, or it's very clear that there's something there work in my chest, like sensation, gross sensation,
mm,
meaning a large sensation that is present here, or maybe it's in the gut area.
mm,
And so, through meditation, I think it just was very clear to me. There's things here that are unprocessed, that are connected
mm,
with the subconscious or unconscious mind.
mm,
And when I would clear the sensation, or when I would hold space for it and like do the scan, like forward to back or side to side,
mm,
and it would dissipate, what I did notice is like, oh wow, like that thought I had earlier is no longer activating. And
mm.
and so it was kind of just doing meditation was kind of cool, because it was like I felt like I was experimenting on myself.
Yeah, it's like you were discovering a lot of connections that you were not aware of in
Yeah,
yourself.
exactly. And so with Vipassana meditation, it's like a self meditation and you can teach others or whatever. But I felt like somatic experiencing was pretty much like the next level in terms of like understanding trauma,
Mm,
understanding the connection, and working with people
mm,
to reprocess and process like different sensations and traumas and things like
mm.
that. Hmm.
I want to stop for a second here, and
Yeah.
I would like you to explain the meaning of somatic because,
Yes.
I didn't know what it meant.
Oh,
I still don't clearly know what it
right.
means, but I understand it intuitively.
Hmm.
So, just for people who are listening or watching,
Oh,
what
yeah.
would somatic mean?
Oh, yeah. So soma is body, and somatic is basically anything in the body that
Mm,
essentially, with somatic experiencing, you're processing sensations that are in the body, stored
mm,
traumas in the body. So this is a little bit different than talk therapy or CBT, and it has its place in time, and we also incorporate that in session. But typically with CBT or talk therapy, you are processing with the conscious mind.
And CBT would be
Um,
cognitive behavioral therapy? Okay,
exactly,
got it.
exactly. And so you're processing with the mind and you're talking to each other like, oh, what happened there? Or blah, 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 blah,
Mm,
blah. And, telling about the story. And so, that could be helpful, but at times it could be re-traumatizing to talk about the
yeah,
story.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've experienced that, especially when, you're talking with friends or so and so that are really trauma informed and don't really understand. They might poke and prod at
Mm,
certain things, and you might feel very activated by
yeah.
talking about the story. And so when we're doing somatic experiencing, or we can talk about the story, but we also, so this is a whole storyline, but we also like pause in between. So we take pauses when the nervous system starts ramping up. When you're talking about the story, we take a moment to pause,
Mm,
to breathe, to let everything settle,
mm,
to come back into the present moment, to feel into the body, to notice, these are just different methods of grounding back, to
mm,
notice what sensation is in the body while you're talking. So with somatic experiencing or any type of somatic work, we're really tuning back into the body itself to
mm,
actually notice what is here. Because when we activate something in the mind, the story, it's connected with the body.
mm,
Which part of the body? Is it in the chest? Is it in the stomach? Is it the legs? And then we can learn how to work with that, either
mm,
with movement or either with like holding space for it, visualization.
mm.
So yeah, I think, does that kind of answer your
Yeah, yeah.
question? Okay, great.
That's very helpful. And
Hmm.
how do you discover holistic body work? Like, did
Right,
somebody perform that on you? So you talked about somatic experiencing, like during
right.
meditation. So I now get why they say like mind, body, and spirit,
Yes.
right? So how did you recognize holistic body work? At what point of time in your life when you were doing, meditation and the somatic experience,
Right,
did you fall upon holistic body work where somebody else is kind of working with you on
right.
your body?
Hmm.
And how did you think that it's important to incorporate that aspect as well?
Yeah. So that's a great question, and I love this. Yeah. So it's a funny story, but for 2 years I was in Asia and I was
Mm.
nomading and also like just living abroad, living the expat life.
Mhm.
And, in that moment, there was like, I really enjoyed working with people. I was doing
Mhm.
coming home program, which was a 4 to 6 month program where people get to tune
So
back
you
in.
were already doing that.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. So I started like coming home program or like coaching and all these different things
Mm.
then. But I was mainly doing it via Zoom online. And
Mhm.
so there was no touch aspect that was involved. And my PT side and the part that likes to work with people's bodies
Mm.
was pretty much deactivated.
Mm.
It was gone.
Yeah.
But and after all like years training and like working for a bit, I think that part was very wanting to start incorporating like touch work or manual therapy or different things
Mm.
in my healing sessions. And this didn't really include just people with like orthopedic pain, acute pain, or chronic
Mm.
pain. It included people that just wanted to relax.
Mm.
So holistic body work is essentially a combination of hypnotherapy, somatic experiencing, as well as touch work or manual therapy and massage, the skills
Mm.
I've learned in physical therapy.
Mm.
And so I decided to blend everything together
Mm.
to work with people's trauma, anxiety, or with people that just want to relax and just be.
Mm.
And so it's honestly, it could be used for so many different things. Like people
Mm.
get massages, right? And I'm like, well, why don't we get a massage and work on our trauma?
Mm.
or why don't we just like get a massage, but also tap into stillness in this whole space, tap
Mm.
into your body, tuning into your body.
Mm.
Why don't we have a meditative massage?
Mm.
Or it could be a meditative like massage and guided meditation with light music, or it could be a space of, you know, like a space where we can actually do like therapy work, right?
Mm.
While we're doing the massage and like touch work.
Mm.
And so, yeah, so when I came back to the States, I was like, let's get that going.
Yeah,
And I
and
started it.
that's so beautiful
Mhm.
because from my own personal experience working with you, it's almost like there are different aspects now, like, even going deeper into the body, there is like an internal experience of the body,
Right.
which is like how your body is feeling inside beneath your muscles or, your bones or nerves or whatever that might
Yeah.
be. There's a space inside of your body that is experiencing something, but there's also something that's happening on the external
Right.
of your body. And I do feel sometimes I need that combined because I am processing some deep subconscious or unconscious, and these two words are like so closely related. It's very hard to
Mhm.
differentiate. But not going on a tangent on what those two things mean. Um, I felt like there is an internal experience of the trauma in the body, or there's a sensation that comes up when a revelation from the past decides to show itself. There's a feeling in the body, but because now you're so internal, you're not aware of what your muscles or body is doing on the external.
Mhm.
And I think just receiving that touch also then draws your awareness,
Mhm.
because all of this is about awareness, right? Like,
Yeah.
you can have your awareness completely internal such that you're not aware of your external sometimes
Mhm.
because you're so worked up and the feelings that are coming internally. But then in holistic body work, when the therapist actually touches or massages,
Mhm.
then you're understanding how your body is working externally with, what is happening internally. So, I started seeing that link. It just brings more into awareness
Yeah.
of your being,
Right.
because it is a function of both internal and external. And where you can be completely internal, you might be missing out on what's external. But I think trauma healing and awareness happens in both places,
Yeah.
internal and external.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that kind of reminds me of like both the mind and the body, being
Mm-hmm.
able to combine both and
Mm-hmm.
explore both. And maybe there's times where you only want to explore the mind, and that's okay. And maybe there's times you want to explore the body, and that's okay. But there's always that ability to combine both. And also, even if you're working with the mind, you can still tune into the body as
Mm-hmm.
well. But it's so interesting how we can really create that, connection,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So beautiful.
It is beautiful. And it seems like you discovered all this through your journey of trauma. And,
Yeah.
this is what it is about, right? With
Right.
reflection of how your journey led you to offer something unique to the world, right?
Right.
Because
Yeah.
it's like from your own experience
Mhm.
of your trauma or how you dealt with it best. And
Mhm.
it's also understanding that what you're offering might not, fix the entire world, but it does speak to a population that has experienced something similar to you, right?
Exactly.
And that's why like there are so many mediums out there. I think like people can always argue like this is better or that is better. But
Right.
I always feel like when you're coming from the heart place, you will be guided to what suits you best because
Yeah.
you experimented so much, right?
Right.
You
Yeah.
went through so many workshops and you went through so many retreats, but then at the end, you gravitated to what works for you
Yeah.
in your own
Absolutely.
being.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's like quite interesting, like the whole journey, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of like figuring out career, figuring out who I am,
Mm-hmm.
figuring out what do I want, what do I need. And
Yeah.
it's like quite interesting because it's kind of a similar journey of like trauma as well. Sometimes when you're in traumatized states, things are deorganized. Like it seems like there's this piece here, there's that piece there. Everything's kind of like scattered. Maybe you
Mm.
have like a split mind or whatever.
Mm.
Um, and so things are kind of in this deorganized way. And even like if you take a look at my timeline with career and figuring things out, it was just like things flying all over.
You said it's like 7 years?
Yeah, 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7, 8 years. And
Yeah.
so there's almost like this deorganization that's
Mm.
there, but because there's also a part of me that knows the higher aspect of self or the self that is
Mm.
knows I'm just going to keep on walking one step at a time forward. Eventually you hit a point in the healing journey and also career journey of figuring things out, things that are deorganized, but you have a part that is always walking forward. Things start to organize itself. It's like reprocessing, trauma, or reprocessing what is it that you want authentically. And the deorganization then becomes more organized and more coherent. Coherent. But it's like really interesting to like even reflect now, because it just reminds me that like, even in those moments of deorganization or clutter or scatteredness, it's a part of the journey, and it's all divine,
Yeah.
Easier said now than then.
I know, because many people like me can just quit, right?
Right.
And we can be delusional, which is good. It's good to be delusional, otherwise you wouldn't move forward. A part of it is required, but I think it's also understanding how hard it is, right?
Yeah.
You have an established business right now, but it has been quite the journey.
Yeah.
It has taken you 7 or 8 years through processing trauma, listening to your heart, and balancing it with the mind.
Yeah.
Because you can be like, oh, I want to go to the jungle. I mean, yeah, you can follow your heart and go to the jungle, but if you're not prepared, there are going to be consequences.
You know what? That's exactly what I did.
Really?
That's exactly what I did. And I've learned that falling is those moments of falling and like making like those dumb decisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how painful it is. Literally, you learn from it.
Yeah.
And it's like what you're talking about is like, you need that organization. You need those grounded parts. You need like that organization. And also like that, I call it like that grounded masculine energy. That's essentially what I had to learn how to develop also within the journey. Because it's like, sometimes things can get very scattered, and also like so many options.
Yeah.
The world is so big, but sometimes too big.
Yeah, like sometimes I'm like, oh, the world is my oyster.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that does not mean that you go into a cave and just jump in the water because it calls you. I'm like, you haven't even been into the swimming pool since like 7th grade.
Yeah.
I did that too. Like I went to La Jolla for snorkeling after a storm in 2019. And I hadn't been in the water since I kind of drowned. But so like,
so
you
drowning happens.
Yes, it does happen. And I think the balance of the grounded masculine and like the floof feminine.
Yes, the exploratory fairy energy, fun exploration. It has to be grounded, right?
I think
you understand
both of it.
Exactly. Yeah. Something to stabilize us, and like also people to support us throughout the journey, and also just being able to tune in and tap into the part that can support yourself.
Yeah. Well, that has been such a journey of discovery for you, clearly. And, I would like to remind everybody that following your heart is not easy.
Yeah.
It is quite adventurous, as you can see from Jen's story, from PT to monastic living to
nomadic.
Nomadic living, exploring workshops, being in other countries, and then just returning back to homeland last year.
Oh my gosh. That was a whole journey as well.
Yeah, like, coming back home to where all the trauma started, right?
Yeah.
Like that's also like a different thing. But I think the point of this is it is a very long journey.
Yeah.
And it doesn't happen overnight. And, I'm sure that there are traumas that you're still dealing with, because it's hard. Like nobody can get rid of everything in a short amount of time. Like it takes a lot of focus, dedication, also how much you can process at one point of time, right?
Exactly. Yes, exactly. And, what the beauty of that is like, this whole life that we're living, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon where we're taking our time, holding space, recognizing that even if we have unprocessed trauma, that's just a part of the human experience, and we can hold all of it, and we don't have to rush and try to fix everything right now, or It's like we can just be in this whole journey and recognize our wholeness right here, right now, no matter what. If you have chronic illness, sickness, or mental health kind of, symptoms that are
Mhm.
going on mentally or physically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just the beauty of life. No matter, even if you're drowning, if you didn't apply your mind,
Yeah.
it's still there is a beauty
Yeah.
to everything. There is a beauty
Yeah.
to a sad story. There's a beauty to a happy story. And I think it's
Hmm.
important to recognize at the end of the day that it's divine,
Yes.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
So as we are coming to the end of this episode, Jen, do you have any questions that you would like to ask me? My
Yeah.
being.
Yeah. Let me think about that for a
Mhm.
second. I'm curious, like in your own personal journey,
Mhm.
I want to hear a little bit about like where you are right now
Mm.
and what are you excited about? So I
Oh,
guess it's kind of two in one. Whoops.
yeah. Well, that's a loaded question because I'm at a loaded point in life. But
Yeah.
I think if I recognize this, a lot of people are asking me how I have so much courage. And I think I was just talking to a friend of mine yesterday because she wanted to know all
Mhm.
about what's going on with me after, quitting my job. And,
Mhm.
I just said that, I cry every day.
Mhm.
And, it's not easy to follow your heart. I think when I was taking the decision to quit my job, I knew what it meant. That's why I was postponing it. And it's almost like I know how massive of a shift this is,
Mhm.
right? And there are things in my heart that I know might be true, but everything is a possibility.
Mhm.
You don't really know what's going to happen, and I tell myself at this point of time, because so many things are uncertain, it's a constant state of confusion where I have to like ground and see what is working in the present, right? Because I am planning to it is June. It is June as we are recording this episode. I am planning to, wrap up my affairs in the United States and be nomadic or travel after July. I'm going to wrap up my business here in the United States. And it's this constant state of not knowing where I'm going to be or like support myself and, leave a lot of stuff behind and know the possibilities that I'm aware of in my heart. Um, so it's also this balance of being very intuitive of what is to happen but also waiting on the patience. But also the mind is like, what if that does not happen? So it's like, as you said, it's like different pieces not fitting yet. Like
Mhm.
I'm in that state where like different pieces are not fitting yet. But I think and that does like cause a lot of pressure because there is an expectation in my heart that something magical will happen. Maybe I get to say somehow, like maybe able to find confusion, but let's get past that. Found my company of what I want to do, like community-based social entrepreneurship, you know, but some things are, effort, some things are a stroke of luck, and, everything has to align. And I just have to remind myself, no matter if I'm here, if I figure something out, my company wise, or, I am in Thailand, or I'm in Laos, or I'm roaming wherever I want to roam. I just tell myself that I'm still gonna love myself. Like I just tell myself I'm so proud of myself. Like no matter how much I break down every day, I have bad days, and I'm very conscious that I'm struggling right now just because of where I am, just because there's geographical uncertainty, right? And that's loss of community in a way. So I'm just reminding myself, like, no matter where I'm going to be, I'm proud of myself. And I know, like, my intentions are pure.
Mhm.
And I know my heart is pure and I mean well. And that's just what I want to see in the world. Like, I want more self love and I want more self awareness. And I just tell myself, I recognize and honor this feeling in me no matter where I am. And I will honor and love myself for the courage. And I know, and I have to believe, and I know that I will find support and there will be people who will support me when I need it. So that's kind of how I'm really getting through. I'm not going to say it's easy. It's not, but I think like I'm very conscious of my state of mind. So I create buffers around it. Like this is the time that I will sit down, crash and cry. And this is the time where I'm going to hang out with my friends and I'm going to feel good. So I'm aware like, okay, this morning I'm feeling low and then, I'll meet up with you or I'll meet up with other friends. And I'm like, oh, at the end of the day, I'll reflect, it was actually a nice day. It's kind of like how I'm doing it right now because it's not like I'm not going to feel the heavy feelings. I am. I'm human at the end of the day, right? And I have to honor the humanity in me.
Right.
Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
Wow. I love that. I love that you're just holding space for all the different aspects of self, the journey, where you are, and really just bringing in like that awareness and also just rounding in like your decision and doing that and leaving the 9 to 5 and allowing yourself to open up to what is next, what is here and what is it that you truly want and creating that groundedness with that decision.
Yeah. And, people like you inspire me because we know the ride is quite long.
Yeah. Yeah.
So thank you for that.
You're so welcome.
So if you had to reflect on your entire journey, because you're a few steps ahead of my entrepreneurial journey, what would you tell to Jen now? How would you reflect how far you've come?
I think the younger version of self would be like, oh my God, you're amazing. Like, it would be so shocked and really just look at me in a way where it's like, we were there. Like, I can't believe you did this. And I'm so proud of you for being able to take what we've experienced 7 years ago and in that present moment, right? The inner child is talking and to transform that, even if you fell over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm so thankful that you learned how to take care of me and you're learning how to be attuned to me and my feelings, and you stop shutting me out and you start like giving me space and light to live and love. And I'm just so proud of you for creating what you've created and also being able to mostly come back home to yourself, learn how to come home to me and to the universe. And and I'm just so grateful that we can do that for others now. And, as we're helping others heal, we're also tuning into self energy and helping ourselves heal as well. So it's like a whole cycle of coming home internally, externally with others and to just be. So I just want to say, you rock. Thank you.
Oh my God, that is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that with me. Go little Jen.
Yes.
Go adult Jen.
Yeah.
Well, that is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing
Cheers.
this space with me. Thank you for sharing your journey with me. And how can the audience find you or look you up?
Yeah, no. So you guys can find me, and my Instagram is JENNXAU. So feel free to follow me and also say hello. And also, I'd like to share my website. It's www.drjennau.com. And if you'd like to book a one-on-one consult, feel free to also check out www.heal.me/Jen, JENNXAU. So you feel free to do that. I have a consult for anyone that wants to delve into the internal world, learn more about the different programs or one-on-one sessions with body work or somatic hypnotherapy or physical therapy. So say hello and we can connect then.
Well, thank you for joining me today. And thank you everybody for listening. And I'm so grateful for your time. And this was beautiful.
Yeah.
I would like to thank each one of you for tuning in. And I hope you take the time to love and accept yourself every day, no matter where you are on this journey. I pray that you take a minute to slow down, honor yourself, and reflect how far you have come. God bless you and all my love. I'll see you next time. Take care.